welcome everybody to another great episode of The Shift. If you haven't been with us the first two episodes, go back in time on the YouTube channel and take a look. The Shift is an episode, a show about how you shift from one ecosystem to another if you need to do that within your district. For example, if you're a Google district and need to shift over to using all the Microsoft tools, this is the show for you. The previous episodes, we went over the different vocabulary of the different ecosystems, and then we also went over how to sign in to your accounts. Today, we're going to start diving into the actual apps of these different ecosystems, and today is the cloud drive. What is it called? How do you use it? How do you get to it? And what are the features of it? So let's get started. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. So I'm Joe Marquez, Director of Academic Innovation for Q. And as always in these episodes, my partner in innovation, Tyler. Tyler, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I am Tyler Keefe. I am now the instructional and technology integration coach up here at Sherman Elementary in Nampa, Idaho. And Joe, I'm noticing you're not sporting your 49er gear today, even though they did sneak into the playoffs. But I got my Seahawks gear on, even though they're staying at home. So congrats on that, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know if you can call it sneaking when they just tore that door down and decided that, hey, we're going to come back from a 17-point deficit. But yeah, they are in the playoffs as well as the Raiders, right? They're in their playoffs as well. But yeah, no Seahawks, unfortunately, or fortunately for many of those out there. But hey, what are you going to do? You can't go to the playoffs every single year like the Seahawks have done for the past, 10 years or so.
Yeah, it was something crazy, but I will say this, even though this isn't about football, that game last night with the chance of it possibly going into a tie was one of the best things I have seen in a very long time in football. And, luckily we can relive it as an ESPN instant classic for years to come.
Yeah, we'll be telling our kids about that, our grandkids in the future. But did you see that game? So that's going to be great. It's going to be great. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to dive into the cloud drive. That's the storage system of the Google ecosystem and the Microsoft ecosystem. Now, everybody, I want you to make sure you understand that I have always lived in the cloud. I don't even remember the time I saved anything on-prem onto my device. I always move it into the cloud. And, I remember going to conferences and imploring people, this was like back in 2010, 2011, 2012, imploring them, please save your items in the cloud drive. If your district has it, do it. And I would always show that clip from The Big Bang Theory when they're on the train going to this symposium and Sheldon wanted to share one of his papers with this other scientist, and he left it on his home computer. And he kept saying, I forgot my flash drive. I forgot my flash drive. I'm like, you need a cloud drive. I thought you were smart, right? So I always would play that and say, this is why you need to put everything in your cloud drive. So that is what we're going to be focusing on. And as always, Tyler, I want you to start. I want the Microsoft ecosystem to be shown first. But before we do you have anything to say about the cloud drive, the cloud ecosystem, anything like that?
I remember in college carrying around a thumb drive on my keychain, and one time I lost my thumb drive. It came off because it wasn't the best key ring or whatever. And I remember that feeling of, oh crap. And you just get that just right here, right in the chest and in the stomach, and knowing that you lost everything. And from that point on, I always kept two thumb drives, one at home, one that I went with me, but to back each other up. And then it got to the point where I was able to test out, at that time it was called SkyDrive for Microsoft. And I was able to test that out. I'm like, okay, I am never going back to physical again. I do still have a physical drive that I do back up about every month or two, just in case. But with OneDrive now for Microsoft, with Google Drive, with Apple's iCloud, I always have multiple copies everywhere. And it's something, like you said, you tell people to do as much as possible. And I am right there with you, because we literally a couple weeks ago here at school, a teacher spilt coffee on her MacBook. And it was like in the movies where it fried right then and there. and she did not save everything up to the cloud. And lo and behold, the first thing she asked when she got a replacement computer was, how do I save things to the cloud? So that's where, where we're going to begin today.
Yeah, and we always want to make sure people know that, yeah, there's the Microsoft ecosystem, the Google ecosystem, there's the Apple ecosystem, there's even the outside ecosystem like Dropbox, where you can save in the cloud as well. So just be well aware of that. And then also make sure you know that a lot of these tools offer kind of like a download that you can do where it becomes a folder on your physical device, where if you save something into that folder, it will not only save on your device, but also save into the cloud. And if you make any changes on the cloud, it automatically makes changes onto your physical device. So there is that hybrid if you still want to have something on your device. And I'm sure, Tyler, if you have that option, you're going to definitely show people how that works as well. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and show the cloud drive for the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah, so let me switch over to my screen, and I'm just going to use Safari here for this. And when you get into the landing page, which we discussed on the previous episode, how to get here. So once you get signed in, this is going to be your page. And over on the left-hand side again, this is for Office 365, you'll see we have all of these icons. And the one for this that we're going to look at is your OneDrive. And everything in the middle of the screen here, it is all linked to your OneDrive in one way, shape, or form. But we're going to actually go into the OneDrive. And once it loads up, it looks just like Microsoft's file system. I don't know of any, other way to kind of explain it other than that. And it's just folders embedded within folders. I mean, you can set this up however you want to. Along the left-hand side, you do have your files. You can go into your recent files, your shared files. And the nice thing about the shared is it does make it two different ones. You got the shared with you. So if somebody sent me a document, I can check here, but then also the shared by you. So if you want to make that distinction between the two and what you're looking for, it's pretty easy to find in there. And then your recycle bin for the trash. If you, deleted something and you weren't supposed to, or you're like, oh crap, I need to get that, it's going to be in your recycle bin. And depending on what settings you have, it's going to, automatically empty itself out in, 7 days, a month, whatever, your district or yourself has set up. And I mean, that's really it within OneDrive. And we're going to dive into this a lot more later, but we do have this new button. By clicking there, you would think you're only going to get folder, but in here for Microsoft, you're able to actually make a new Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, or even Forms all within this folder. So it's kind of nice to be able to just make it there. The other thing that you had mentioned, and I did not have this set up, and I apologize for that, is the local folder. And if I did have it set up to share screen, I use it all the time. I just didn't set it up within OBS that I'm using to share this. You're able to, like you said, have all your stuff there in a folder. The nice thing with OneDrive is it will store the file, but it will not be the full size file. So it'll just basically share a link. And then when you need that full document, it'll actually pull it down from the cloud for you to work on, re-upload any changes that are there. And then it removes your local copy so that you're not worried about storage space on your device. And you can use whatever type of files you want. You can use this as just a storage spot for whatever you want. It doesn't have to be just Microsoft products in there. You can store your movies, you can store whatever. And depending on what level of subscription your school has, you can have basically unlimited storage. We had unlimited for the longest time until COVID hit. And then our limit got bumped down to like 5 terabytes or something in the cloud, which is more than I'll ever need. But it's all there available. And it's kind of cool because I can be on one district computer, upload a file there, go over to my other district computer, and it's boom, it's there. I don't have to worry about using a thumb drive to bring it from computer to computer. So that's really OneDrive in a nutshell. I wish there was more to say, but it's really as simple as that. Now, Joe, I know the Google Drive kind of works very similarly. However, the one big difference, if I'm going to foreshadow here, is whatever you download. So your Google Docs, if you download it to the local drive of your computer, is that actually a full-fledged file, or is it just a link of that file to go into your OneDrive?
That all depends. If you're using the Google Drive folder that you've downloaded the program, it's kind of like exactly what you were talking about with Microsoft. You can access it from your actual device. It'll open up like it's a regular document. You can make adjustments and boom, it will upload automatically. But then there's an option to physically download it as multiple different file formats. You can download it as a PDF. You can download it as a Word document. You could download it as a text document. So there's multiple ways that you can save it to your actual device. But when you save it, that's a separate copy. Right. So if you make any changes to that document at that point, because you've downloaded it, then you're going to have to re-upload it if you make any change. That's why we always recommend to change it either from that drive that you have on your device or do it right in the document itself on the cloud drive. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to show you how we get to the Google Drive. Ooh, that's a super fancy name for this one. Google Drive is what this one is called. And so if we take a look at it right here, we've already logged in, and we can tell that the login is happening because we have my fantastic looking face right up here in the corner. And then there's these little dots up here. We love to call this the waffle. Most of the time we call it the waffle because we do trainings in the morning and everybody's always hungry for breakfast foods, but we call this the waffle. And when you click on it, there is the icon for the Google Drive, and you would just click on it and it will take you right in to your Google Drive. So you're all ready to go right there. You can also, up here in the Omni box right up here, just type in drive.google.com and that will take you to the Google Drive as well. So you can type it in as well. So that's a way to get there. But once you're here, this is going to be your Google Drive. It gives you suggestions of what you possibly want to work on. These suggestions are based upon maybe documents you're consistently opening or documents you just created. So it'll give you your top 6 suggested documents that you'll probably want to work on. Right below that is your folders. These are all the different folders that you've created so that you can organize your drive. And then below that are files that you have not put into a folder yet. It may just be a one-off document. It may just be something that you haven't put into a folder yet, but that's where all the other files are going to be found. These folders can be interacted with. I can right click on this folder right here. I can share an entire folder with a team member if I wanted to. I can share an entire folder with a group if I wanted to. I can grab a link to this folder and share that folder out. The sharing of these folders, when I say get link, it gives me the options of how I want to share this. I'm in my my school domain here, and so I have it defaulted to restricted. Only people that have been added to files in this folder can view it. That means people can't Google this and find this folder and get into your stuff. It's restricted. But if you wanted to share this with somebody, you don't want to leave it to restricted. You would click on, let's say your school is Alta Sierra. Let's say that's the school that you're working in. If you select that, anybody in your school now can view the files in this folder. That is key. If you don't want people to open up the files and edit them, you just want them to be a viewer to see what the documents are and interact with the documents, but not delete or edit. You want to get them as a viewer. You can select them as commenters. Maybe you're like creating a document for your school or for your department, and you want people's eyes on it and to have them leave comments, like maybe changes or suggestions. You want to give them a commenter option, or you can make them editors. At that point, they can edit your document. They can add items. They can delete items. So that is a very high level sharing that you want to give. If they don't need to edit or you don't trust them to not accidentally delete things, only make them a commenter or a viewer. But those are all the different ways that these files can be shared out. If I open it up, all of these files here, All of these files can then be individually shared. Maybe you don't want to share an entire folder. Maybe you just want to share 1 or 2 documents. I can come in here, click on 2 documents, and then share those 2 documents with individuals while keeping the folder in place. And then you can have tiers. So I have a folder within a folder. You have folder within a folder within a folder. You can go as far down the rabbit hole as you want with treeing up your documents. Another thing is this. Let's say that you're a visual person. And like all of these gray icons are just like, I can't find anything. You can come in here and you can change the color of things for you so that they can pop a little bit. Let's say like these are some videos that you like to share with your class. You can come in here and change the color to red. So now you can see those files easier. It's a red folder right there. This is thumbnail view. If you would rather see it in a list view, you come up here to this corner up here and click on list view. And now you can see everything by owner, by last modification, by file size, all the way down through the document right there. I like having the thumbnail view, so I leave it at that. Google has added something pretty cool called priority. Priority is like another type of folder, except you can grab items from multiple folders and put them in what's called a workspace. The example of why you would want to use this is, let's say that you work within your department as a team member, and there's multiple folders that you share as a team, but maybe your department chair says, hey, out of this folder, I need you to work on this document. Out of this other folder, I need you to work on this document. Out of this other. So out of multiple folders, they give you like 10 things they want you to look at. You can then come in here to workspaces. This is like a to-do list right here. And then you can now add files from multiple folders into this to-do list, and it will not change their location in those folders. So, and you can drag from other people's folders too, from shared folders. So this is just like if you have a bunch of documents you need to do and you want to create them into a list, an easy to grab item, that's what this priority is here for. And then under priority, you can then go in. There is a 25 file limit to a priority, but hopefully you don't have something that you're working with that you need 25 files to do. Of course, here's your, this is your regular drive, and you can get to all the folders as well by clicking this icon and the down arrow, and you can then open up individual files just by clicking on this down arrow sheet right over here. Here is something that confuses a lot of people. This is called the shared drive. Now, people are like, well, wait a minute. What's the difference between a shared file folder and a shared drive? Here's the thing. You can create a team right over here. And I did this a lot with my team before this team drive came about. And I would come in here and I would create a folder called Science, ASI Science. Under ASI Science, I'd have Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. Everybody would have access to that. But when I left the school, guess what happened? Since I was the creator of all the documents, I was the creator of all the files, I had to make sure that my tech department left those folders open so my team didn't lose all those folders and files. That's an issue. If somebody's leaving and they say, you know, I'm going to clean out my drive before I leave this school, and they delete everything, if it's just shared with you, it's deleted off your stuff as well. So this shared drive is meant to alleviate any of those pains. Whoever creates in here, whoever does anything in here, if they leave the team, all those documents are still there. So that's what this one is for. So if anybody leaves, everybody in the team still has access and editing rights to all the original documents. That's what that team drive is. And then finally, right beneath here is your shared folder. This is where anything that anybody has ever shared with you is placed in here. It's crazy because sometimes at a school site, somebody will just share a document instead of with targeting their specific team. They will share it with all Al Jazeera or all our school site. It'll go to your folder. And you're like, this isn't even something I belong to. So this stuff here, you don't have really any control over it. If somebody shares something with you, it goes in here to this folder. Even if you delete it, it's still shared with you. It'll come back up. But the cool thing is you can right click on it and then you can add it to your drive as a shortcut and then place it in different folders as well. So you can easily then reallocate where they're from. But the shared drive is just like an all for nothing right there. I can click on recent up here. It'll bring me the most recent documents I've been working with. So if that's usually a time saver right there. And here's starred. Starred is like if there is one document that you're always going back to and you want to have an easy access to it, that's what this is here for. And then, of course, trash. And Tyler, just like you said with the Microsoft ecosystem, there is a 30-day timer. If you delete something, you have up to 30 days to take it out of the delete. And that's key for teachers who are working with this and students, because what if I come in here, what if this student is working on a document and they're like, oh, I didn't do any of my work. I'm just going to delete it and tell my teacher I accidentally deleted it. You hit remove, it'll tell you, are you sure you want to move this to the trash? So the student has to then accidentally hit delete and then accidentally say, sure, I'll delete it, right? But then it's still in their trash folder. Now they have to physically accidentally go into their trash folder, right click it and click delete forever. There's no accidents if your students are deleting something. There's no accidents. And so that's what I always tell teachers. There's no such thing as an accidental deletion from a student. Now, if they go through all of that, your admin, whoever has access to these documents, can go into that student's folder and restore anything that was deleted forever up to 60 days. So they can go in and find anything that was accidentally deleted. So there's no way possible a student can say, I can't find it. It's been deleted by accident. Doesn't happen. And there's multiple ways to find those as well. So I wanted to show those to you. And as storage-wise, you have unlimited storage in the Google ecosystem for education. Notice I have nearly 250 gigabytes worth of information in here. I save a lot of stuff. I do a lot of recordings. I do a lot of things, and I save it into my files. You have unlimited, so why not? So I just keep everything there. And then also this new is where you can create a new folder. If you have files on your physical machine that you want to upload to your drive, you can do it by singular file, or you can do it by folder upload. An entire folder from your machine you can upload. And this is where you can create Google Docs or Google Sheets that we're going to dive into more. And it will automatically save them to your Google Drive. And then also there's more all the way down. And we'll get to those when we talk about more times with apps. But that's basically the Google Drive in a nutshell. I mean, again, a lot of similarities to the Microsoft ecosystem, but as with anything, there's some nuances, right? There's different places, different things, but basically the same thing.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention here, as you're going through yours, I'm sitting there like, I should have shown that. Within the Microsoft OneDrive, you can do all this sharing that you had mentioned. My brain is still thawing out from being out at recess duty. It's right at 30 degrees right now outside. So all those same things you were able to show, Microsoft does have. Not as intuitive with that shared folder that you were mentioning for like a team. But there are some other things similar to that within Microsoft. But one thing I do want to mention, I mean, I've heard some doozies over the years, especially with homework and it magically disappearing. But so you're telling me that the student who told me that they deleted the file, clicked yes, moved it into the recycle bin, then emptied the recycle bin, that was not by accident? They did that purposefully?
Yeah, multiple steps. I mean,
Man.
just like students didn't accidentally clean up their backpack, right?
Right.
Clean out their backpack. They didn't accidentally delete something. So teachers out there, just let them know that technology will help them out and restore their deleted items so they can get right back to working on those deleted items. So again, thanks everybody. That's the cloud ecosystem. A lot of similarities, but just different buttons and maybe different verbiage. But a lot of the same things can be accomplished through both of these ecosystems. Next week, we're going to be talking about the word processor in Microsoft, known as Word. and the word processor in Google known as Google Docs. So until next time, may the shift be with you. Keep your head up. Tyler, keep yourself warm. And everybody have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful week. And we'll see you next episode on The Shift.